therefore, I've got a little information about the Holdens Coast. Specifically, about what is the Holdens Coast like and why that means it will be eroded really quickly. First of all, then, Holdens Coast is located in which corner of the UK did we find the Holderness Coast? I don't remember.
South. No, southwest.
What about south?
Northeast.
Right. UK looks like. Right, that's what the UK looks like. Holderness Coast is about there. Therefore, our compass direction is, there you go. It's in this corner, therefore it's in the northeast. So, Holderness Coast is in the northeast of the UK. Now, I would like us to use the info on this sheet on the board to fill in the info about the Holderness Coast, to figure out why it's eroding so quickly. Now, I have in, this info sheet is on Teams, but so we can all do it together. On your little sheet, the first box is about the geology, or what rocks are under the ground, because that rock type is going to make a huge difference. Now, first of all, the Holderness Coast is made up of what rock? Can you guys see what rocks we mostly have in the Holderness Coast? What kind of rocks do we have in the Holderness Coast, most of all? Yeah. What kind of rocks? We've got that, we've got that, and we've got that, which makes sense. Right, you can see here, boulder clay. Clay. Is it? There you go. Can you remember if clay is a hard or a soft rock? Okay. Clay is what you use to make pottery. Whenever you're making pottery, you can shape it so it gets wet, it goes really soft, almost like mud. In fact, if you ever see fancy spas, they might do a clay whatever, so that you put clay on your face. It's soft, a bit like mud. It'd be like having mud put in your face. As a result, if it's this really soft mud-like rock, we would expect the rock to be softer and therefore. So what to clay then? How much erosion is going to go on here then? If there's really soft rock, what would you expect the erosion to be like? If there is soft rock, it's made of clay, do you think this rock is going to resist erosion or not? No, because it's soft, it's weak, therefore it will be eroded easily. So on your little sheet, in that first box where it says geology, you should be copying in. Holderness Coast is made up of clay. These are less resistant to erosion. I mean, if you put the iPad down, I'm going to take a look. It's made up of soft clay. These are less resistant to erosion. You should be able to then fill in this and that. If there's soft rock, what is then going to happen to those ones? All the information you need to complete this is on the board. But go through wave strength. The Holderness coastline is exposed to wind and waves from the rocks. As you can see, just being able to read it, Holderness Coast is exposed to wind and waves from the northeast. That means this is the coastline there, it's coming from the northeast. Therefore, our waves are kind of hitting it like that and pushing it down the coastline. So, as opposed to in the UK, so down in the south, the waves hit it like that, so it all goes along. We have got powerful waves, and these waves have a long fetch. Approximately, what distance fetch did they have? If there's a really long fetch, it's like having a big run up. So the longer you are running, or the longer the fetch is, what's going to happen to these waves if they've got a really long time to run up and gather their energy? What's going to happen to these waves? They've had a long time to run up, gathering their energy. What's going to happen in the next person? Stronger or weaker? Because they've had a lot of time to gather their energy. Imagine if you were like jumping into something. If you were to just walk into the door, probably better, but it wouldn't damage the door much. If you ran and slammed into the door, therefore it's stronger. The more energy you have, the more length you have to run up to something, the stronger it will be. So the longer the fetch, the stronger the waves. And that was already one of our points. The stronger the waves, the more erosion is going to happen. Therefore, these waves are stronger, they could be destructive because they've got a long stretch of time to run up. Okay, make sure we are filling in the sheet then. All that info. All that info is on the team slide and on the screen. Should we do it now? Yeah, do it now. So we've done geology and wave strength. So if we were to look at the as we know, our longshore drift is that really fun zigzaggy pattern. When waves sandals to travel along the coast, it's going to zigzag up, then zigzag down. Hopefully it's familiar, we can do it every time. It's the only important process where sand moves along. Therefore our sand will move along the coast. Right. A big paragraph about longshore drift. The process that transports beach material south of the coast. Because we're at a bit of an angle here, our beach isn't flat like we've been drawing it. The beach is actually going to be going along like that. If our waves hit it this way, it's going to be pushed up, down, back down, pushed back up, pushed back down, back up. Our sand is actually going to be moving down. Our sand is moving south off the coast. There you go. The process of longshore drift transports sand or sediment south. Transporting stuff. Now, this means that what do you expect to happen? As you can see here in this paragraph, it's pointing out to us that since all of our material is moving south, it's basically falling off the beach and going south. It means that all of the rocks left behind are starting to be exposed. There's no beach in the way to protect them. This would be like if you were running at the door and someone opened it, well then you would run straight out and smack into a stronger wall outside. So this means that the boulder clay is being left even more vulnerable to erosion. Because there's no defence of having all that sand, it's washing away sand. The rocks are left exposed, therefore they're going to be eroded even more. If you have a beach, it means that you won't be eroded. In this case, the sand is falling off. It's not becoming off. There you go. Yeah, that is because the beach size is small. The sand is washing away, therefore the beach size is small. Otherwise I think that.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. This means that the boulder clay is exposed. It's vulnerable to erosion. It is like if you have longshore drift going on, your beach will get smaller because all the sand is moving away. If the sand moves away, your beach is then exposed. Then you're going to erode. Yeah.
Half of it, the water just suddenly goes back.
What do you mean goes back?
Half of it,
It just disappears.
it goes like that.
I mean,
Does that mean like?
usually that means a tsunami's coming. So, if you ever see the sea disappearing really quickly, faster than it should, usually. Alright, we'll call that distance, with the waves have to run up and hit the coast, we'll call that distance the fetch. So take up long fetch, which means they've got loads of space to run up and then snap into the coast. What you mean by the fetch is that if you think about, well, okay. If you think about how close the south is to France, maybe there, but there's quite a bit of time before it reaches Scandinavia. So the waves here have quite a small fetch, they can only run up between France and the UK, but the waves here can come all the way to there, and there's loads of time to gather up energy. So there's more energy in these waves than these waves. They've had more time to run. Right, and that last one is about a future threat. See down in the corner, a future threat. The weak clay that they have, stormy nature of the sea, and the rising sea levels mean that the future is bleak for this coastline. Yeah. What do we mean if something is just bleak? What does it mean if there is a bleak future? Dark. Lucas, do we expect the bleak future to be happy? No, it's bleak. Right. So, what I mean is, if there is a bleak future, we don't expect it to get any better. We expect lots of erosion to happen. We don't expect it to stop. And the future threat is that the coastline will then disappear because of all that erosion. Yeah. Oh, what the Holderness coastline looks like. Sure. There we go. Loads of people love to study this area because it's like that. As in it's eroding away so quickly that that was a section of road which is now gone.
You can't see it.
Oh. Okay. An entire section of road which is now because of the erosion that's going on. That's pretty extreme. And that is happening every year. More of the coastline gets essentially eaten. How would you feel if you lived in one of those houses and you could see that happening? Maybe your neighbour across the road, his house has disappeared and now the road is gone and you know you are next in line.
But then I'm moving.
Yeah. The problem is, if you want to move and you have to sell the house and someone else has to buy it, who's going to buy a house that's on the edge of a cliff which is going to disappear immediately?
No.
No one's going to want to.
Actually,
Which means you might not be able to move house.
you set the house on fire.
That's a bit extreme.
Just make it like really
Just doesn't to buy it.
I'm not sure you can convince anyone to buy a house that is falling
Just
off
leave
the edge of a cliff. Yeah, then how are you going to buy any house?
Or just
Yeah,
give
sure.
it truck and just take it.
Wait, you're gonna do
I'll go on.
So now that you've done that, I want to move on to something a bit more interesting, which is what's going to happen when it starts to erode. We know that erosion is bad and people's houses will fall off a cliff. That's probably quite bad. But really, the coastal erosion will have significant impacts on all sorts of the people's lives here. in the UK, there's about 1 million properties are at risk. So 1 million houses are at risk of more than And colour code for it. Yellow, social, environmental, or economic. I've done a poster already. But just use whatever key you want. I'm just pointing out that.
EC.
Yeah, for economic.
Miss.
Who put EC up there?
Oh, yeah, there is. Oh, sorry.
The fifth one.
Fifth one. Which one?
Many of the six. Is it
Ah.
social economic?
Ah. Many of the settlements rely heavily on tourism. If they are underfunded, their trade would diminish. So the food would go down. Remember, what does tourism bring to the area?
People.
Affects the people too.
Oh, it does, but this is talking about the tourism. They need people to come in and spend money. They're saying no one is coming in and spending money.
Yeah, and it's affecting them.
Well, I would say it's economic, because we've already got people lose their homes and forced to move away from the area if they can.
I suppose I put like social, is like still correct?
I mean, no, I think it would be more economic. We are going quicker than normal, so let's get that. Maybe we will have time. Check who has a assumption. I'm sure I'm gonna do that.
Yes, but what about property is like economic? I think social.
Social. If it's properties as in people's homes, you don't want to lose your home, these people will become, say, homeless, which is a social issue. By the way, Mr. Cleary is hoping to organise another trip to the university at some point. Isn't that lovely? Okay, cool. 100% unless Emily comes back. Right. Put it in your bag. Put it in your bag, not just on your desk. Right then, if we were going to look through these, here we go. Sites of scientific special interest are being threatened by erosion. That is a mouthful. An SSSI, we actually have some nearby us in Southampton. There are sites of special interest here. Would you say that that is social, economic, or environmental? Because I will be at this. Sites of special interest. Is it affecting people, money, or the environment? Yes, it does. Okay. These scientific interest sites, now they tend to be to study a rare animal. They mostly show up, and I won't give you this because you probably don't know what SSSI are. Now, these sites are sort of like a nature reserve, a protection zone. What they usually say is that no one can come in here and muck about because there's a special type of animal here. Especially around us, there's a lot of them for special birds that we protect the area for. There's a lot that are for special newts and really boring frogs and stuff like that. So if it's protecting the nature, we would expect it to be environmental. There you go.
No,
That's everyone. There you go. Now, farms alongside the sea are devaluing and losing profits year on year as land falls into the sea. What do you expect this to be? Muna, what do you think? Farms are falling into the sea, farmers are losing profits. Which is that going to be?
economic.
Well, again, if it's about profit, it's about the money they make. This word devaluing just means that you are losing value. So, for example, the closer your house gets to the sea, the less it is worth. It would become devaluing. So this would be economic. Underneath, many of the settlements rely on tourism. Try and think, what did we say? If it was tourism, Yeah, it'll be economic, because that tourism brings in money. If they can't bring in any money, they won't have anything to live on. Economic. And then, if people are losing their homes, they are forced to move away from the sea. Right. Ollie, do you think it would be social, environmental, or economic? People's homes being lost, they might become homeless. Who's being affected? Your house falls into the sea, who's being affected? Yeah, you, a person, therefore it will be a social impact. There you go.
Yeah, but what if you're outside the house?
Because they should just get like online.
So what if your house was the house?
No, what if you're outside your house?
You'd still be homeless.
You
They
could
should
just
just get
move,
like a lot of
move,
insurance.
move into your neighbour's house. Ah,
Right,
I was going to come get it at the end of the day.
so if we move on to properties, right, these properties are losing their value. People don't want to move into these houses which could fall into the water. Therefore, if they have lost their value, or they have negative equity, essentially their house is not worth anything anymore. Would we say that this is economic or social? This one's a bit confusing. Economic or social? And okay, what have you got for this one?
Economic.
Oh, you can ask me. Would you say economic or social for the properties? Economic, I would say so too, because it's talking about their value, not just that the properties are important to people. If they lose their value, it means that money is being technically lost from the area. The people who want to sell their houses and move away can't because they're not worth anything. So I would say that's economic. There we go. Damage to plant and animal habitats. Who's this going to affect?
Social.
What's the environment? Plants and animals are part of nature, they are part of the environment, therefore it will be an environment. And wildlife behind Spurn Point is losing diversity. The environment cannot support many species due to lack of sediment. This one's quite obvious, it's even got the word in it. Sucker, which is this one? What? Losing diversity is the environment can't support many animals. There you go, environment. The loss of jobs and few jobs means that young people have to move away from the settlements. What's that impacting? This is a bit of a confusing one.
I'll say social.
Yeah, this one's a bit tricky because they're talking about jobs, which is an economic thing, but they're talking about people having to move away. You could almost go half and half on this. Say that it is social and economic. Right. Now, some settlements in the area are unable to maintain a viable population to warrant shops and other services. This one is a bit stranger. Because really, what they're saying is there's now too few people in the area to have services for them. Would you build a massive hospital in the countryside where there might only get 10 people visiting it everywhere? Yeah. No. Will you bother having a bus lane if you know that hardly anyone will get on the bus because there's not many people? There's going to be a loss of services. Therefore, some settlements in the area are unable to maintain the population, therefore who's being affected by not having enough services?
The people.
Yeah, the people, so it will be social. And last of all, 30 villages have been lost since Roman times. This puts it into perspective. 30 entire places have disappeared to this erosion. Now, this means that there are not only many homes lost, but also think of all what might be cultures lost in the area. That's all the areas.
We're not going to move.
Well, they probably did move, but to think that 30 entire locations have disappeared because of erosion is quite a lot. That's 30 places which are no longer on a map because they've literally been eroded off.
Yes, they like pay for insurance.
Yeah, but usually a bank will charge you crazy insurance because they know that your house might fall into the water, therefore it would be silly to give someone insurance if they will always have to pay it. Right. We are making good progress. Can you make sure you get the correct options in? And then I'm going to move on. And we're just going to do a quick. No, we're not doing spin the wheel. We're not doing spin the wheel yet, so I want us to do some actual work first.
Still look for it.
No. I want us to finish our work first. Come on. I know it's Monday and you just come back and you're all tired. Right. So just have to look at this. Now, it's important, as much as we practice our big essay questions, that we still try and practice our short mark questions. These are the ones that make up a lot of marks. So what you have to do, looking at the resources, suggest 2 reasons why Black Gang Chine on the Isle of Wight might be more at risk of erosion than other coastal locations. So, first of all, this here is Black Gang Chine, over here. As we can see, this is the Isle of Wight down here. And it's asking us why this area might be more at risk from erosion than other places. First of all, well, if we look at our map of the geology, we can see Black Gang Chine is a location in green, which is telling us that the rock here is called Wealden, or in other words, it is a soft rock. So Black Gang Chine has a soft rock. What's that going to mean if the soft rock is really soft, Sucker? What's it going to mean if the rock is really soft?
It's gonna do more damage because it takes energy to take it up and
The softer something is, the easier you can break it. Therefore, erosion is going to be
easier to break.
it's easier. There's going to be more erosion. It's going to happen more often. So therefore, number 1 in your books. I'm going to get rid of this slightly mad drawing we've got. There we go. There we go. Really annoying. And it breaks my glue sticks. First of all then, in your books, number 1, could you suggest 2 reasons why Black Gang Chine might be more at risk of erosion than other places? We've identified the geology, so Black Gang Chine has a soft rock, therefore it will erode more. And also, well, think about the distance we've got here. That is quite a long distance compared to somewhere like that. What do we call that distance where the waves have to run up? Jacob, do you remember the name for that distance? We call it the distance the waves have to move. You see the run-up space?
Run off space.
No, what's the word for it? The distance they move. Fetch. So we can tell, here, it looks as if the fetch is longer than at other places as well. So in your books, first of all, there you go. You to copy into your books, using that as a sentence starter. 1 reason that Black Gang Chine is more at risk of erosion is, it's just saying 1 reason more at risk of erosion is. And then, another reason, as well as this, another reason would be what? It wants 2 reasons because it's 2 marks.
Is it Black Gang Chine?
Black Gang Chine, what's it called?
Is it really Black?
And then I want you to have a go at number 2. What would be a reason why the rate of coastal erosion might increase in the future? Right, 1 reason why Black Gang Chine is at risk of erosion is you've already identified 2 ones. geology. Where's Black Gangchang? In green, what type of rock is this? Fielding, which is therefore the soft rock is going to. What, the 4 people?
Yeah.
I was asking if I put.
Will it?
Let's ask 4 people just do it first.
Right.
And the specialization.
So, first of all, we identified, right, number 1, the Black Gangchang has soft rock. Soft rock is going to be eroded easier. The softer something is, the quicker it breaks. Soft rock is eroded. And I've written here fetch an exclamation mark.